Hi, my name is Tom Thee. Welcome to the Virginia Bakery Remembered Baking Series. This is the sweet yeast roll, breakfast roll segment. Turn to page 131 in your book. Oh look, there's Lou Dorsey. This guy was one of the best bakers I've ever seen. He could put sweet rolls on a pan like he was playing cards. He was so fast, incredible. At Christmas time with the cookies, he was amazing. Alright, in order to do this one, you're going to have to have done the yellow dough segment, the cinnamon crumb segment, and the cinnamon schmear segment. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, put a little flour on our board. We got to roll out our dough. We're looking for a nice long piece, about 15 by, well, I don't know, 6 maybe, something like that. So there you have your piece of dough. Brush the flour off, flip it over and brush the flour off the other side. The reason I brush the flour off is, I tell this with new bakers when they come in. First thing I have them do is they say, now put your finger in your mouth, stick it in the flour, now taste it. That's exactly why you want to brush the flour off. Okay, now we're going to wash the whole thing with butter. Now at the bakery, we used a butter mixture that was half butter and half vegetable oil. This came from when I went to the Culinary Institute of America, and we were in a scientific kitchen, and we did an experiment where we combined all different types of oils, fats and oils together. And the one that predominantly won was a half vegetable oil, half butter. So that's what we used at the bakery for the whole time that I was there. Okay, now egg wash, which is 1 egg and an equal amount of water whipped together. And just lightly brush the bottom. That's going to be your glue to seal everything up. Now, cinnamon sugar. I don't put too much cinnamon in your sugar because you want it to say cinnamon. You don't want it to scream cinnamon. So nice and light like that. My mom used to put this on fresh hot buttered toast at home on Sunday morning. Oh, it was so good. So generously cover your piece of dough with the cinnamon sugar. And for the plain sweet rolls, you would just roll them up and then cut them. The next roll, however, we could just go ahead and do this, was the raisin roll. Just put a good handful of raisins on there. Spread them out. Make sure everybody gets a raisin. I always used to tell the guys, make sure you get the edges because that's the piece I'm going to give to you. Now, just roll it up like a jelly roll. Some raisins fall out along the way, just tuck them back in there. Okay? Now, I'm going to let this roll sit just a little bit because there's tension in that dough. And if I cut this dough right now, you're going to see it kind of pull back upon itself. So I'm going to sit this one to the side while we do the next 2 rolls. Again, lightly flour your board. Roll your piece of dough. Use all the flour you want because, you know, you're going to brush this off in the end, right? Move that out of the way. Keep your corners square. See how I'm using the pen? Okay. Flour off the front. Flour off the back. Alright, now this requires a cinnamon schmear. First thing you're going to do is egg wash the bottom, just like we did for the prior roll. That's what's going to seal it up. Okay, cover it generously with the cinnamon schmear. Spread it out. Just like a miniature cinnamon bread almost. Make sure you get it to the edge because that's your piece. Now, got some on the raisin roll there. Now roll it up just like we did the raisin rolls. Okay? Now, if I cut this now, that would be the cinnamon roll. If I cut it and then dip it, which is what I'm going to do, into the cinnamon crumbs, that's where we get the double cinnamon roll. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the raisin roll first. You can either use a bench scraper if you have one. Nice tool to have. Most people don't. If you don't, good chef's knife will work. You're going to cut this into 6 pieces, okay? Easiest way to do it, Let's cut it in the middle, then each one into thirds. Alright, now we're going to place it on a lightly greased baking pan. These end pieces, where the end is out, you want to put those down in your pan. Kind of spread your dough out a little bit. Alright, there's the raisin rolls. Now, you want to brush the tops of these lightly with egg wash. That's going to give them a nice shiny glaze when they come out of the oven. It also keeps the dough from forming a skin while it's proofing prior to going in the oven. Alright, that's those. Now we're going to do the double cinnamon rolls. First let me cut them. Get that raisin out of there. Okay, cut it in half and then into thirds. Alright, now take your cinnamon crumbs and dip this, press it down in there so that you get a good amount of cinnamon crumbs on here. Okay, put that on your pan. Oh, looks like I'm going to have just enough here. Yep, well, that's good. Okay, now we're going to let these proof just like the other ones. Bake them in the oven. Then we're going to have to make some roll icing, which I'll show you in just a bit. And that's it. Those are the sweet breakfast rolls made out of yeast dough. While the sweet rolls are proofing, we're going to go ahead and make the glaze and the roll icing. So from now on, when I refer to something in here as glazed and iced, this is exactly what you're going to do. Glaze is very easy to make. It's half corn syrup and half water, whatever proportion you use. You can either heat it on a stove, or I find it more energy saving and quicker to put it in my microwave. While that's heating up, we're going to go ahead and make the roll icing. Into this pot, I put, we're on page 142 now. I put 1/4 cup of water, 1/4 cup of light corn syrup, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of shortening. The shortening gives the roll icing the mouthfeel. The salt, by now you should know, that's what the salt does. It balances everything out. We're going to either boil this on the stove, or, like I said, we can microwave it, which is probably more energy efficient and as well quicker. After this is done microwaving, we're going to fold in our 3 cups of powdered sugar. Let that cool a little bit. Then we're going to add our egg whites. Now, the egg whites are to give this glaze a real good sheen. There's a remarkable difference in roll icing made with egg whites and without. If you're kind of leery about putting the egg whites in there, don't. I mean, it's just going to be a cosmetic thing. Also, we're going to add the vanilla last because we don't want to add vanilla while it's cooking, as that will dissipate the flavor. The heat dissipates the vanilla. Okay, our glaze is done. Let me pull that out of the oven. We're going to pop in our roll icing real quick. Let's see, get a whip out here. Also going to need a brush. My pastry brush is in the sink. I'll have to wash that out. Alright, the ingredients are boiled. Shortening's melted. Take our lid off, set it aside here. Put in our 3 cups of powdered sugar. I know this looks like a lot of sugar, but wait, it will dissolve. Stir it around with your whisk. Okay, stir it good with your whisk so you get all those lumps of powdered sugar broken up. Alright, there we go. Nice roll icing. Nice. Okay, now we're going to add our egg whites. The reason we don't put our egg whites in before is because if we boil them in there, we have scrambled egg whites. So we want to add this after this has come out and cooled this a little bit. And then finally, we're going to add our teaspoon of vanilla. 1 cap equal to half a teaspoon. There we go. Hold it in well. Taste as you go along. Always make sure you got it. It's perfect. It's got a nice mouthfeel. Good roll icing. It's been about 20 minutes. These rolls aren't quite done, but I want to pull one out and just show you what undone dough looks like. See, they're just starting to brown, not quite around the edges. If I press down on this dough, it probably will not spring back up. See how it's staying dented in? Let's give it a few more minutes, and we'll do it again and see what happens. Okay, it's been about 25 minutes now altogether. I'm pretty sure these rolls are done. Let's take them out and look at them now. Alright, see how they finished browning up? Yep, look at it popping back up now. Same roll, pops right back up. Those are done. Get the other ones as well. If you could put this fresh bakery smell into a candle, you guys would be millionaires. Alright, well our sweet rolls are done. You gotta remember that we had 4 types of sweet rolls, but we only wound up making 2. The plain sweet rolls, the raisin rolls, and the regular cinnamon rolls all get what we call glazed and iced. Okay? The cinnamon crumbs, anything with a crumb on it, usually just gets powdered sugar. Well, this is one of the first jobs that the baker had when they came off the sink and actually started baking. They were called a finisher. And they worked all day long with glaze, icing, powdered sugar, fillings. Their job was to take everything out of the pans, dress it, make it look nice, and get it down to the baker with the appropriate icing on it. So if we tell them glazed and iced, they just put glaze on it, like this. Let that set for a minute, and then we're going to ice it. The powdered sugar was real easy. All you had to do is take your powdered sugar thing out, bing, 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 bing. Okay, it is really important to let these cool down. I know you want to eat them when they're hot, but if you put this icing on when it's still too hot, it'll just melt and run off to the sides. Same thing with the powdered sugar. The powdered sugar will just melt. Alright, now putting the icing on. You can either do it Betty Crocker way, 1 spoonful at a time, and smear it around, or you can do it the way we did in the bakery. Now there are 2 types of icing in the bakery we called. One was just icing, and that would go like this. Just smear it all over the top of the roll. Make sure you get enough on there. You want it to be a little warm, just to run off the side, but not so warm that all the icing melts. Now, the other type of icing was called string icing, and we'll show you that later, probably like butterscotch gems or some of the other stuff. But all you did was you dip your fingers in and see the little strings coming off? You would just coat those back and forth, and that's how you did string icing. Okay, well that wraps it up for the yeast rolls.